We are in Hollywood, where stars are made. And by far, the two biggest stars in this year's Rose Bowl are the two quarterbacks, Jameis Winston for Florida State and Marcus Mariota for Oregon. Mariota won the Heisman Trophy this year. Winston won it last year. And more than likely, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers will select one of them with the #1 draft pick. Now, it was Media Day today at the Rose Bowl, and the hot topic was the matchup between these two quarterbacks.
I'm not matching anyone. You know, I'm playing Florida State football. My job is to lead my team and lead us to victory, and his job is to do the same. We're just excited to be back. You know, what we did last year was last year. I believe we can win at any time of the game, you know, and we've been fortunate that we won every game this season.
I'm just excited to play the game. You know, I'm excited to be a part of the Rose Bowl. You know, this team has had a great year, and hopefully we can continue to play within our season and really just to have fun with this game.
Now, even though Oregon is a heavy favorite to beat the Noles and break Florida State's 29-game winning streak, don't forget, just last year, Winston came to Southern California and left a national champion. If the Noles are able to win back-to-back titles, Winston could be the most famous Seminole ever to put on the pads since Burt Reynolds did. Remember, he played for the Noles back in the 1950s. In Los Angeles, Jason Jennings, News Channel 8 Sports.
Jason Jennings joins us live from the Noles practice facility just south of Los Angeles, where the team has wrapped up for the day. Good evening, Jason.
Good evening, Dan. And we got to watch both teams and their quarterbacks on the practice field today. Those QBs, of course, being Marcus Mariota for Oregon and Jameis Winston for Florida State. Either one of them could be the #1 pick in the NFL draft by the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. And earlier today, I spoke with Kirk Herbstreit, the ESPN analyst who will be calling the Rose Bowl game. And I asked Kirk the question Bucs fans want to know. Whose game of the two quarterbacks translates the best to the NFL level to be a franchise quarterback?
If you're looking at the system that they're coming out of, I think it's obvious that it'd be Jameis Winston. He's running a pro-style offense, an offense that will transition much easier to the NFL. It's not to say that Marcus isn't going to become a great NFL quarterback, but if you're just looking at the systems that they're coming out of, who should have an easier time with that adjustment? I would think, at least watching the two teams and the systems that they run, I would say Jameis.
How big of a concern should all the off-field stuff be then with Jameis?
Well, I think it's got to be a factor for people, but I've had a chance to get to know him pretty well, and I've always been intrigued by just his lack of maturity early in his career. I think he was a little bit naive to who he was, and I think it backfired on him. Hopefully, we keep saying hopefully that is all behind him, but if you're an NFL GM or especially an owner and you're going to invest millions and millions of dollars for him to be the face of your franchise, you want to make sure that he understands the importance of the intangibles of the position and being the face of the team.
So Kirk sounds bullish on Jameis. That's kind of different from what a lot of the experts are saying who think the Bucs will go with Mariota. Now, this game, this week, about so much more than just football. Coming up tonight at 11, I will show you an inspirational, a heartwarming scene that happened after the Florida State's practice today. You do not want to miss that. Dan? Back to you.
Jason Jennings joins us live now from Los Angeles, where the Noles, despite all that pressure, Jason, they gave us a moment to remember today, didn't they?
It sure did, Dan, and good evening to you. And it was the last full day of practices here. It's just going to be walkthroughs the rest of the way before the big game. And after Florida State's practice, it was a heartwarming moment. The team gathered around their super fan, Peyton Poulin. He is a sophomore at Florida State, and ever since birth, Peyton has been suffering from schizencephaly. It's similar to cerebral palsy, and the Seminole players helped Peyton walk 50 yards into the end zone for a virtual touchdown. Peyton has just barely been able to stand up on his own since June, but after attending almost every Seminole practice for the last 2 seasons, this touchdown was his reward.
It's what life's about, and to inspire and give him a hope. The hope, like I say, the hope you have in life is the key. When you take hope away, you have nothing. He has hope. He wanted to walk. He's worked with our strength guys, and they've worked with him, and you know, he did it. These guys walked 50 yards, and they told him he'd never walk again. I mean, it's what it's about.
Gotta love that. Now, all this week, Jameis Winston, he's been staying quiet about his plans to turn pro after the season, or if he would want the Bucs to draft him with that #1 pick. One thing is certain, Winston's going to have to prove to the Bucs or any team that his off-the-field problems are behind him. Now, as for Winston's thoughts on how the fans think of him,
I can't get people to like me. You know, what they read or what they may see is them. I can't control anyone's opinion. Like I say, my family, this football family, they know me. And people that have met me and actually talked to me, they know who I am. I got to let my actions speak louder than words because of past things. But, you know, I'm not going to let the past control my future.
Now, neither Winston or his Rose Bowl quarterback counterpart Marcus Mariota have announced yet whether they plan to turn pro after the season, but they're both expected to. And it's probably safe to say whoever wins Thursday's game, that's going to be the quarterback that Bucs fans are going to want to see the team draft with that #1 pick. And it's Mariota and Oregon who are the 9-point favorite. Dan, back to you.
News Channel 8's Jason Jennings joining us now live from California. Hey, the preps are going on for tomorrow's big game.
Oh, good evening, Melanie and Keith. Even though the game is the semifinal for the first ever college football playoff, there's always so much more surrounding the game during the Rose Bowl week. There's the New Year's Day Rose Bowl parade. Both schools' marching bands will be performing. But first, today, those marching bands were playing loud and clear for this team's coaches, players, and fans at today's kickoff luncheon. To be the champs, you gotta beat the champs. And the Seminoles come rolling into the Rose Bowl with the confidence of a team that's won 29 straight games. But to be playing in Pasadena in back-to-back years?
For our part of the country, we don't ever think about going to the Rose Bowl. It's almost like, you know, that's the one game you could never coach in. And I always say this, Coach Bowden, who the winningest coach in college football history, he always said his one regret that he ever had, but he never got to coach in the Rose Bowl.
But because the Oregon fans have the shorter trip to Pasadena, you can't help but notice they outnumber the Florida State faithful about 2-1. So many people are picking Oregon to win. So many people are doubting Florida State. You guys haven't lost in 2 years.
That's right. We don't plan to either.
I actually like it because I believe we're a better prepared team mentally and physically, and got a little chip on our shoulder, and so we're going to show America what we're about.
Now, everyone at this luncheon, for some reason, we got this sweet little mini football, but they also gave this tee, a kicking tee. Why? I don't know, but if they gave it to us, I guess we're going to have to use it. And our photographer, Jim, is afraid I'm going to kick him here, but, well, let's see what happens. Oh, I kind of hit him a little bit. All right, actual kickoff for the game about 24 hours from right now, and we'll have a preview again coming up in our 6 o'clock news in sports. Back to you.
Oh, I love that.
Jason Jennings joins us live now from the Rose Bowl. And Jason, I know if the Noles plan on repeating as champions, there's this little habit that they need to break, right? That's right, Dan, and good evening to you. And it's a habit that has made this year's Florida State team completely different from last year's, even though both are undefeated. Last year's national championship squad would beat opponents by more than 40 points per game, while this year's has had this habit of having to overcome early deficits. 9 times this season, the Noles have fallen behind.
Picked off again!
But every time, they answered, came back, and won.
It's never a sense that we're out of the game. You know, actually, it's more of a sense that we're still going to win the game.
I believe we can win at any time of the game, you know, and we've been fortunate that we won every game this season.
Sometimes the ability to win close games is a quality of a true champion. But for Florida State, their critics have used their slow starts against them in the rankings and in national respect.
The first half, it just looked like they were just going through the motions, almost like a walkthrough mentality. And the second half, I don't think there's anybody in the country that can play with them.
But in the Rose Bowl, for the Noles to match the high-scoring and highly skilled offense of Oregon, how much can you not afford to fall behind by a couple scores early?
Well, I don't think either team can. I think both teams have skill. I think we both have a lot of skill.
We have to get off to a fast start. We can't start slow and then go down 21 and expect to be able to just fight back because, I mean, they put up points.
With the pace of their offense, if you get behind two or three touchdowns, it's kind of hard to dig yourself out of that hole like we did all year.
I'm very anxious to see after this long layoff, do they feel disrespected with the 9-point underdog role? Are they going to show up and play hard early? Are they going to be intense? My hunch is they will, but if they wait to turn it on in the second half, it may be too late for them.
So that is why, despite being the only undefeated team in college football this year, Florida State is a huge underdog against Oregon. And coming up tonight at 11, we'll tell you why the Florida State players think they're not getting the respect they deserve. Dan, back to you.
Jason Jennings live for us tonight in Pasadena. Hey, Jason, there's a lot of fanfare leading up to the big game.
There sure are, Melanie, and good afternoon to you. Kickoff is in about 30 minutes from now at the Rose Bowl, but the fans that have arrived between Florida State and Oregon, well, that party's been starting shortly after the sun came up here in Pasadena. Obviously, we don't know who'll have the most points on the scoreboard yet, but we do know which team will have the most fans in the stands. They're here, they're green, and they're loud. Oregon Ducks fans as far as you can see. Oh, here's a Florida State fan, Tracy Schulis from Tampa, the only Noles supporter at this Oregon tailgate. A little outnumbered, aren't you?
No, that's all right. We can take them, no problem, you know. It's duck hunting time, man.
Yes, that's the theme with the Florida State faithful. This tailgate put up a duck blind. And they're cooking
our fried duck. Fried duck. Well, the sunshine is out. It's our weather. It was 23 degrees this morning, but the sun is here, and we're here, and we're here to win.
Oregon fans are quick to remind you their team's favored to win today. What makes you so confident? Florida State hasn't lost in 2 years.
We have Marcus, the Heisman, and there's nothing else we need. He's Superman. He is Superman.
Oh yeah, that quarterback debate. Another reason Bucs fans like Tracy will be watching closely.
Your #1 draft pick is either Mariota or Winston, so, you know, it depends what Lovey and Jason Wright.
It's going to be Mariota. Oh, my God.
Mariota. So.
Who wants the convict? You want the nice guy.
Convict?
The nice guy with
This is a nice guy, believe me.
Oh, my God.
And we do know that Bucs head coach Lovie Smith and general manager Jason Light are here to watch these quarterbacks play. And a Tampa native and Bucs fan handed me this sign that says it all. Win or lose, someone's bucked. Has Winston and Mariota on it. And later on at First at 4 Sports, we're going to break down this quarterback matchup even more. And they're going to say which NFL quarterbacks they're modeling their games after. Melanie?
Looking good, Jason.
Jason Jennings was with the Noles shortly after this nightmare, and he's going to join us now live from the Rose Bowl. Good evening, Jason.
Good evening, Dan. Yeah, that image of Jameis Winston fumbling while falling over, that's going to be the one that lasts for years from this game. But this loss for Florida State was less about Winston than it was the entire offense, turning the ball over 5 times in the second half. 4 of those turnovers, not even Winston's fault. And Oregon turned all of those takeaways into touchdowns. So Florida State's winning streak, it's over after a school record 29 games.
Tonight was unfortunate. You know, it wasn't just they were stopping us. You know, their offense did great. You know, their defense was great, but we were never stopped at all.
We had a great chance the second half, and we just started turning it over. We had one of the worst quarters we've had. We turned it over 4 times in the third quarter, and every time we were moving the football and had chances to score points. But hey, they made the plays in which they had, and they converted them back.
And after Jameis Winston walked off the field in defeat for the first time in his college career, he declined to answer if this would be his final college game.
I'm not focused on that at all. You know, I'm looking forward to next season and playing baseball. So I'm just trying to get better.
No, he's one of the great players in college, not only in college football history. We'll have to wait and see what the future holds.
And for Bucs fans closely watching the quarterback play, wondering who they should draft with the #1 pick, Mariota or Winston, well, that debate is going to last for another 4 months because I don't think Mariota, even though they won and won big, played that much better than Winston. Dan, back to you.